Hello everyone, and welcome to the first part of a 5-part tutorial series where we will cover how to play the basics of Imperator Rome. In this episode, we will cover the fundamentals, including how to navigate and understand the user interface, exploring the various powers relating to your nation, and a basic primer on the differences of the various states, including monarchies, tribes, and republics you can select from the start of your campaign. Once you're ready to play along, it's time to start a new game and explore Imperator Rome. To start a new game from the menu screen, we will select Single Player and then click New Game. A large map of the ancient world will now appear, showing the various states as they existed in 304 BC. You can select and play as any of these nations, from amongst the smallest of primitive tribes to the sprawling kingdoms of the Hellenic world. To move around, you can use the WASD keys on your keyboard, or you can use your mouse by hovering over the edges of the screen. At the top of your screen, you can also change the map view, allowing you to look at the various states, cultures, religions, and more of the ancient world. Before selecting a nation for your first campaign, it should be noted that each nation possesses a subtype of one of 3 government forms. There are tribes, republics, and monarchies, and each possesses strengths and unique mechanics. Tribes are the most widespread of government form, and allow the player to migrate, sack cities, and either decentralize or centralize their form of administration. Monarchies are also quite common, and consist of states where a family dynasty rules and confers bonuses to civilizational value. The least common form of government are republics, and they consist of states that benefit from increased character loyalty and elect temporary leaders, allowing you to quickly adapt to changing circumstances. While you are able to select any state of your choice, for the purposes of this tutorial we will select Egypt as our starting nation. They are a strong and large monarchy, and well situated for learning the basics of Imperator Rome. To begin our campaign, we will click on this nation and select the Begin Game button. Our campaign starts paused and with an event that details Alexander the Great, providing historical background similar to other major nations. After closing this window, we will now cover the basic controls of Imperator Rome. Just as before, you can move the world map with the WASD keys, and by using your mouse, and you can zoom in and out with your mouse's scroll wheel. Near the bottom right of your screen is an interactive minimap, with map modes that can be toggled to change between terrain, polities, diplomatic relations, religion, cultures, and more on your world map. You can experiment with this interface to find more information about the world around you, and it will become quite useful later on in your campaign. But before we continue, it's important to start with the basics. At the very top of your screen are your nation's resources. The first resource we will cover is your nation's treasury, which you can use to hire and maintain armies, build buildings, and invest in technology and trade. If you click on this index, you can access the economic interface, which details the health of your economy and allows you to change the taxes of your population and wages of your characters. You gain money every month by a combination of taxes, commerce, and trade routes, which derive from your national population. You can also gain money from your subject states in the form of tribute. On the other hand, armies, navies, fortresses, and national advisors all cost money to maintain every month, and you should try to keep a positive balance. If you ever overspend and your nation goes into a deficit, a variety of negative events will impact your nation, so be sure to keep an eye on this indicator and keep your income positive. The next resource we will cover is Manpower, and is located to the right of our national treasury. Manpower is the amount of adults in our nation that can be conscripted and raised into our armies. Just like our national treasury, we gain manpower every month depending on the size of our population. Various buildings and policies can increase this resource, while drafting units into our forces and losing cohorts to combat and attrition will steadily deplete it over time. To the right of our manpower indicator is our political influence. Influence is a very valuable resource, and is used in everything from diplomacy, increasing your stability, and even developing your province's infrastructure. You can increase your influence each month by ensuring the loyalty of your government ministers, which you can access by clicking on the indicator. This will bring up the Advisor Government screen, where you can interact with the bureaucrats of your nation. Disloyal advisors produce far less influence each month, and can be replaced by loyalists to increase the monthly generation of this valuable resource. The next resource we will look at is military experience. As your units and armies fight and win battles, you will accrue military experience, which is a type of currency you can use to invest in military traditions. When you click on this resource, the military tradition interface will open, showing you a variety of traditions that you can invest in to improve the combat effectiveness of your military. Different cultures and nations possess different traditions, and these bonuses range from modifiers to unlockable tactics and mechanics that greatly change your tactical abilities. For example, our Levantine traditions allow us to use the phalanx, a powerful military tactic. Our next resource to the right of military tradition is our nation's stability. We start our campaign with 50 stability, symbolizing a balance in our nation's internal affairs. Destabilizing events, like changing laws or declaring unjust wars, will lower this resource, creating unrest that can lead to revolutions and civil war. Higher stability in turn leads to population growth and increased commerce income and research speed. There are a variety of ways to increase stability, including events during your campaign and religious mechanics. To increase stability manually, you can offer religious sacrifices by clicking on this resource to open the religion interface. Here, there is an option at the top left to conduct a religious sacrifice and gain monthly stability at the cost of political influence. The next indicator we will cover is aggressive expansion, and is the next resource to the right of our stability. You begin your campaign with 0 aggressive expansion, but this can be increased by declaring wars, conquering provinces, and subjugating your enemies. The more that you expand via war and conquest, the higher your aggressive expansion will become, with penalties that stack and become more severe. In general terms, a high level of aggressive expansion will negatively impact other nations' opinions of you, decrease the loyalty of your subject states, and will decrease the happiness of your national population, severely limiting their productivity and damaging provincial loyalty, potentially leading to open rebellion. Every month, this resource will decrease over time, and when you are at peace, it decays even faster, so you should moderate your wars of conquest to better minimize the penalties of military expansion. The second to last resource we will cover is tyranny, an indicator that conceptualizes the brutality of your government. Imprisoning your characters, executing your opposition, and selecting oppressive event outcomes increases your tyranny. Unlike aggressive expansion, tyranny provides both bonuses and penalties to your nation, and must be carefully balanced to avoid excessive unrest. High values of tyranny reduce both your character's loyalty and the happiness of your primary culture, leading to economic stagnation and revolution if not managed carefully. But tyranny also provides bonuses, in the form of improved slave output, lowering war score costs, and by further reducing the costs of imprisoning more characters. Every month, this value will decrease until it resets at its default level of 0. The last standard resource we will cover in this video is war exhaustion. This resource is directly related to how much attrition and loss your armies face on the battlefield. Losing wars, having your provinces occupied by the enemy, declaring wars without valid reasons, and conducting a war despite a call for peace will all greatly increase your war exhaustion, resulting in substantial penalties to your nation. A high war exhaustion results in unhappiness across all of your population, including those of your primary culture and those that belong to other cultural groups. Given that unhappiness leads to lower productivity and increased unrest, a high level of war exhaustion will result in you making less money each month and exposing you to the risks of separatist uprising and internal conflict. Depending on your government form, you might have an additional resource to the right of your war exhaustion. Monarchies have the legitimacy resource, while tribes have a centralization mechanic. For monarchies, legitimacy is a measure of how popular your dynasty is, while centralization allows tribal governments to alternate between bonuses to migration or civilization. Republics are unique in that they have no comparable resource. With the basics of resources out of the way, it's time now to take a look at the Outliner tab at the right of our screen. This interface lists your nation's armies, navies, disloyal characters, and active diplomats. If you click on any of these elements, your map will automatically take you to that point of interest. Clicking on your armies, for example, will take you to their location on the world map, while clicking on characters will take you to their information page. You can customize what appears on this interface by clicking on the Outliner configuration button located at the top left. By default, all elements are set to appear on the Outliner, and when characters or provinces are about to turn disloyal or actively disloyal, they will also appear here, which will allow you to easily take care of them. Before starting your campaign, I recommend taking a look at the alerts at the top center of your screen. Whenever there is an urgent matter that requires your attention, it will appear here, with notifications prompting you to select trade routes, invest in technological inventions, and more. We will delve into these mechanics in future video guides, but for now I'd recommend keeping your eye out for notifications as they appear. With the basics of the user interface out of the way, it's time now to turn our attention to the game itself. Gameplay takes place in Imperator Rome in real time, with days and months marking the passage of time. When you start your campaign, gameplay will be paused, but once you are ready to begin playing, you can unpause by pressing your spacebar or by clicking on the play button at the top right of your screen. Here, you will also find buttons that allow you to control the speed of time, with the minus button slowing down game speed and the plus button speeding it up accordingly. Most calculations in-game, like your treasury, manpower pool, and influence levels, update each month. That concludes our guide on the basics of the user interface in Imperator Rome. In our next episode, we will cover how to administer your nation, including an overview of the population system and a look at provinces, culture, religion, and more. If you'd like to learn more about Imperator Rome, I recommend checking out all 5 parts of this tutorial series to familiarize yourself with the basics of the game. This guide series is made in collaboration with Paradox Interactive and my YouTube channel, Alzabo HD. As always, thank you for watching, and we will see you on the next Imperator guide.